TipTut.
Hello everybody and welcome back to TipTut. Today we're carrying on with our motion graphics icons series. Before we get started, I recommend that you watch the camera one first because I explain in detail all of the basic stuff that we're going to be doing throughout this series that I might not spend as much time on in the other episodes. The rest you can watch in any order that you want, but watch the camera one first because I explain things like keyframes and creating shapes and things like that in more detail. So if you haven't already, go and watch it. Otherwise, let's dive right in. I'm going to assume that you've been following this series along and that you've created the camera, the photograph, and the boat by now. This time we're going to work on the surfboard. Before we do, let's have a look at what we've done so far. We've got a camera coming in looking nice and cool. We've got a photograph coming in looking nice and cool. And we've got my favorite one, the boat, that just pops up in a nice little happy way. Excuse me, I've been talking a lot today. We are now going to draw a surfboard. So let's move along to about 6 seconds in and let's drop our JPEG in. You can grab these JPEGs from my website if you wanted to follow along. What we're going to do is press open square bracket to put the surfboard at our playhead, and then grabbing our square tool with the layer selected, we'll create a mask, and we're going to click and drag over the surfboard like so, just that we're working with what we need to work with. Go back to your selection tool and realign that center point to be the middle. If you don't have this Motion V2 plugin, you can just use the pan behind tool to click and drag and move this center point around. Okay, we're going to hit P on our icon and we're going to go to 960. Oops, excuse me, 960 by 540, which is the center of a 1080p composition. You can just use the align tool if you want, doesn't matter. Okay, great. Let's trim off those other layers so we don't see them. And let's get going. This one is a little bit different to the others, okay? In that we're still going to be tracing this using the pen tool and the shape tool and things like that in order to get these separate elements of the design as separate layers. However, because we're going to animate this surfboard dropping into the sand, we're also going to draw something that isn't there, which sounds daunting, but it's really not. Don't worry. First thing you need to do is make sure that your stroke is the same color. So we're going to grab that dark one here, like so. Oh, actually, let's zoom in and do it properly. Grab this. Okay. And we're going to draw all the different elements of what we need. The first one that we probably need is going to be this pile of sand that the surfboard is embedded into. I'm actually going to overshoot it just a little bit so that it comes down to about here. And I'm just clicking and dragging on these points to move these different pen points here on the surfboard, the sand that the surfboard is dug into, okay? And we're basically going to go through each part of the design and replicate it using these different layers. I'm going to grab a ellipse tool and just create this little, I don't know what you call it, bracelet, holdy on tag thing that surfers wrap around their ankle. Create the top half of that like so. Gonna call it circle top. And then I'm gonna use the pen tool again to create the bottom half. Like so. And at this point, I'm literally just tracing. Like I said, I'm going to be not speeding through these, but I'm not going to be hanging around in terms of explaining the intricacies because I've done that already in the previous episodes. So if you are struggling to follow along at any point in this episode, just go back and watch the camera one first, and everything will be explained nice and simply for you. So I'm going to grab the pencil here and just bring it around until I've copied this bit of string. That'll do. Nice one. Open square bracket. We'll push that layer to the start point here. And we'll call this one string. Okay, now we're on to the not difficult bit, but the good bit, I suppose. We're going to have to create the hidden part of this surfboard as well, because it's going to be forming in the air up here and then dropping down into the sand, which means you have to create something that we can't see. Sounds daunting, but it's really not. You guys will be fine. It's all done with the pen tool, nice and simple. Click at the top of the surfboard, go down to where roughly the middle of it is, like say here, and then just holding shift, I'm just going to drag this down until the lines meet up with each other. And then I'm going to choose a place where I think the bottom of the surfboard would be. So come round or to about here and then curve back up again. So I'm going to say about there, like so. And I'm just going to click and drag a little bit to give it a bit of a fatter booty, because I think that's what surfboards look like. From there, I'm just going to go back up and trace the rest of what we've got. Okay, so push that out a bit until it looks about even, and then bring it up back together around the top there, like so. Okay, just going to hold Alt as I drag this one to only affect a single side of the lever, and then we've got our surfboard that we're happy with. Okay, so it extends a bit further into the sand for us there. God knows if that's what actually surfboards look like, but it'll do for this. From here then, the next step, we're done with our lines, is just to create the colors underneath. So open square bracket and name this one board. Okay, and then underneath all of that, we're going to duplicate this layer. Okay, call it board blue. We're going to remove the stroke because we don't need that anymore. And we're just going to shift it out of the way so that when we choose our fill by eyedropping this, we can then align it with the fill, which is slightly offset. Okay, like that. That doesn't look too bad. Let's shift this layer with Control open square bracket all the way down to the bottom. And then what we're going to do is actually hide it. From there, we're going to go to our rectangle tool, click off any layer that we've already got on, and then with our fill, we're going to select this lighter area like so. And we're just going to see if we can draw a rectangle over that, which extends past both ends of the surfboard. Don't worry too much about that because we're going to mask out in a minute anyway. Let's align that like so that we can stretch to fill. Okay, and now to mask this, what we're going to do is take our board blue layer, which we're going to make visible again, duplicate it, pop it above our layer that we just made. So it should go first board color, then the line, okay, and then the second board color, like so. We're going to take our line layer and we're going to turn its track matte into alpha inverted. Alpha matte. And what that will do is, even though the shape still exists past that shape, past the shape of the surfboard, as you can see, it's masked it out, okay, by the board shape above it. From there, we're just going to take our line tool, our board blue tool, and we're just going to link that to the line, okay, which means wherever we move the line, its mask will move with it, which is perfect. And that's it. We're ready to start animating. One additional thing we do need to draw though is the pile of sand that's blocking the bottom half of the surfboard, but that's nice and easy to do. You can literally just get a big circle, remove its stroke. Doesn't matter what the color is, but let's just make it white because that's easier for us. We don't have to do any masks then if it's white, and we'll just scale it up like so and move it around until it's just fitting underneath the sand like that. Okay, we'll call this shape sand mask. Oh no, wait, I've done that on the wrong layer. I've done it on the same layer as the circle, which is a mistake. We don't want that at all. We don't want it to be on any layer that we've already got. So making sure we've got no layer selected, do the same thing. And align it up. So it is roughly there. Open square bracket, we'll push it to where we need it to be, and we'll call this one sand mask. And we'll do with this one is we'll just push it underneath the sand, but then we'll grab both of them and push them above everything else. Okay, so now they're on the top, and we can get our sand mask layer and just sort of tweak it like that, so we know it fits the curve. Perfect. Okay, happy with that. We've now got our board ready to go. I'm going to select all of these layers, including the hidden ones, and I'm going to choose our butt capper to round off those corners. And what that does is it just rounds off the ends of the lines. If you don't have this plugin, which is really useful and free, you can Google it. Go down to any one of your layers you want to change, go down to shape, go down to stroke, and choose the line cap and make it round. It's as simple as that. However, you can see that our string has started to protrude a little bit now that we've made it round. So we can go back to our string here, choose our pen tool, click this point here and just drag it over a little bit like so. And it is all saved. Perfect. All right, we can now hide or delete our original surfboard icon. for some reason, circle top has been hidden. So we'll just quickly redraw that, like so. Get rid of the fill and apply a stroke. And then just quickly add that back in. There we go. Good. And we're ready to go. Let's get animating. First thing that we need to do is probably animate the board coming into existence. Okay. And then have it dropping into the sand. So let's zoom out just a little bit. Let's take our layers, make sure they're in the right order. And let's take our board color, our board line, and our board undercolor. And let's push them all the way up so that the only thing above them is the sand and the sand mask. Okay. Now from here, you can pre-comp this if you want to, which I'm going to do. However, you can do all this without pre-comping. It just makes it a little bit easier for the animation side of things. I'm going to pre-comp this and call it board inner. Okay. Now inside here, we can now do all the things that we want to do. Like, for example, in the original animation that you saw on the intro, the line sort of comes in like this, and then the whole thing does a little bit of a wiggle, and then sort of splooshes into the sand. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take our board line, we're going to add a trim path to it by twirling down, hitting add, and trim path. Now, again, if you're having trouble keeping up, I do recommend you go and check out the camera tutorial, because I explain all of these things in greater detail. However, we're just going to go down and drag our trim path endpoint to 0. Hit a keyframe, move, say, 15 frames along. Let's zoom in a bit so we can see a bit easier. And add another keyframe where it's finished. Okay. Maybe let's make this 30 frames. Full second, why not? Go to keyframe assistant and easy ease them. Okay. And then make them go from fast to slow. Like so. So we can see that line stroking in like that. For the sake of you guys, I'm going to quickly add a solid in the background so you can still see what's going on. I'll just have to remember to delete it once we're done here. So that's good. I'm happy with that. That's going to come in like this. In the meantime, we're probably going to want the surfboard. I think I had it just coming up in opacity, but let's just check. So where's our surfboard here? So yep, it kind of fades in as the whole thing wiggles and then splashes into the sand, which we can do, no problem. So let's take our 3 layers, like so. Well, actually, we only need to take the line and the board blue. Let's grab an opacity keyframe by hitting T and pressing the stopwatch. And then let's move on 30 frames and do the same thing. Another set of keyframes, go back to the first ones and change their value to 0. Okay, so the line shakes in like that. That's all we've got to do inside of this composition. So I'm going to delete this solid now. Okay, then I'm going to go back to our travel icons solid here, our composition here, and start animating outside of that now. So let's take our surfboard, okay, and let's scrub forward a bit so that it's already animated and in position, okay, and then we're going to bring up a position keyframe, we're going to bring up a rotation keyframe, and that should do it, to be fair. Let's create some keyframes here. Doesn't matter where they are at the moment because we're going to move them later on, okay? And then what we're going to do is move forward 15 frames, like so. From there, we're going to add in another set of keyframes, and then we're going to move forward 10 frames. Now, this is the same sort of ratio of frame movement in terms of time that we've had in all the other animations. The first animation takes 15, and then whatever blowback from that only takes 10 frames. So we'll put some keyframes there like so. The difference being this time around, of course, that this second set of movement here is going to be as the surfboard shifts after it hits the sand. So we're going to actually have to move the anchor point. So we're going to grab our pan behind tool and we're going to choose a point where we want this thing to turn. I'm thinking it's going to be about here. However, you can see that we've now got a line going like this, and that's because we've set position keyframes and we're now moving the anchor point. To fix that, you just need to have all of your position keyframes selected and then choose pan behind. And what that should do, oh no, I made a mistake. It won't do that. Okay, that's fine. We'll just delete those because they don't move anyway, and then move the pan behind tool to a point where you think the board would pivot, like so. And then we can just put our position keyframes back in, okay, like that. So now when we rotate this, it's going to rotate on that anchor point, which is good, which is what we want. Now we know this is the finished position here, so we're going to leave that as it is. We're going to go back to this second position and we're just going to shift it like so until we're happy with the angle, okay? And then we're going to move this first keyframe, to be the same thing. So we'll just copy and paste that keyframe there, okay? Now we're going to move this first position keyframe to be up in the air along that same angle that we've just made. So say, for example, we select this position keyframe and we just grab our surfboard and move it into the air, okay? Then what will happen is the surfboard will move down to the ground, hit the ground, and then settle into position, okay? Which looks silly at the moment because it's moving very slowly, okay? So what you actually want is this first part to be quite short, maybe even 5 frames. There we go. Let's hit F9 on those last keyframes and bring up our speed graph, okay? If you can't see the speed graph, if you get something like this, for example, it just means that you're on the value graph instead. The only thing you need to do is go down to this second icon from the left and choose Edit Speed Graph instead. And you'll get a graph that represents the speed of motion. So you can see here that it's moving very fast as it drops down into the ground and then moves slowly and speeds up a little bit and settles in again like this, okay? Doesn't look correct at the moment because what we actually want to do is drag this handle over so that it goes from, oops, I did both of those accidentally there. You need to drag just this second handle over. So click and drag this last handle here and then click and drag so that you're moving it from fast to slow. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, it should start to slow down. Bam. Might have to just move that one in as well. There we go, that looks good to me. Lands and twists. Perfect. So now that we've got these keyframes, they're working in themselves, but they're not working in the rest of the composition because back here is when the surfboard starts to actually animate in, okay? So what we want is the surfboard to sort of swoosh its way in, and then as soon as the line starts to finish, or maybe just about here, yeah, just about there, we can shift these keyframes over. Now, we could have done those keyframes there, but we wouldn't know what we'd be looking at because the surfboard wouldn't have been visible. That's why we did it all the way over to the right. But as soon as that's in, we can just have it animate on and drop into position, okay? However, we had it wiggle a little bit as if it was being drawn to life, so that's easy to do. What we can just do is grab our rotation keyframe, move along maybe 5 frames, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, add in another one, add in another one, add in another one, okay? And then we can take these ones and just sort of shimmy them along a few numbers so that it shakes to life. Let's have another one in here as it's being drawn. And then we can just F9 those. Okay, we probably want them to be a lot closer together than that. Let's twist this one that way. So it shakes itself in. Let's have it go the other way again there. Shake, 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 shake. And then settle. Yeah, that looks all right. Let's ease that last one though. Okay. Yeah, that looks good. But let's have this take less time. Let's go in here, grab all of these, and hit Alt-Shift left to move them over 10 frames, so that this whole thing takes a little bit less time to actually animate on. Okay, meaning that when we go back here, we can move these over a lot closer. It'll shimmy and then immediately drop in. Okay, that looks all right. Not too bad. the only other thing left to do for this one then is add the impact as that surfboard hits the ground and adjust this string and circles, which we'll do now. So the string and circles, we need to move to where the surfboard has finished animating, grab our string and 2 circle layers and pick whip them to the surfboard. It's important to do that once the surfboard has finished moving. Otherwise, what you won't get is them attached. What you'll get instead, say if you did it when it was still moving, is you'll get them attached in the exact position where you attached them, and then they shift and end up all the way over here, you know, behind the mask. So it's important to only attach those once the surfboard has finished moving, like so, because then it's already attached all the way down. What you can do at that point, once it hits, like so, is you can have the string and circles start to grow, okay? Sorry, my computer's starting to struggle a little bit today. It's been a long one. So let's trim paths on all 3 of these. Let's add a trim path to the string. Okay, same as do before, 0 all the way up to 100. So we'll keyframe 0, move along 30 frames maybe, and go all the way up to 100. Let's keyframe assistant easy ease those. Go to the graph editor and drag that from left to right, like so. Okay. So we've now got that string growing into place as the surfboard settles. Perfect. Let's shift them forward, move 5 frames so it starts a little bit earlier. Yeah, that looks like hitting the sand sort of forces them out. Good for me. Let's copy those keyframes and Alt open square bracket trims those layers to this start point, and let's paste them on each layer. However, we don't want them to all start at the same time because it'll look weird and floaty. We want them to start as each one hits it. So say, for example, as this piece of string hits the top of that circle, we want the top of the circle to start. So open square bracket there. But again, it's starting in the wrong place, okay? It's starting in the middle of the air when it should really be starting from where this string joins it. That's easy to fix. You can go down to trim paths and go to offset and just twist that offset until it meets up with what you want. And you can watch it go. And then once that one starts here, we can start animating this one like so. And it all meets up and looks good. Hits and hits. Perfect. Let's add in some little sand scuffs as the surfboard hits the sand. So let's grab our pen tool like so, and literally just draw these in. Let's have one going from here to here. Open that. Let's have one going from here to here. Open that. And one going from here to here. We can open that. Okay. Let's grab all 3 of these layers, open square bracket to make them start where you want them to start. Press U on these layers down here so we can copy and paste these keyframes. And voila. Dunk. They'll hit like that. Probably want them to go a bit faster, like so. Good, good, good. However, for these ones, we also want to animate their start positions as well. So pick one of them, doesn't matter which one. Go down to trim paths and make sure you keyframe both of those points, like so. Control click them so they return to normal, okay? And make sure the first start keyframe is set to 0 and the second start keyframe is set to 100. Grab both of those keyframes on the end and press Alt right a few times, 1, 2, 3, and that will shift them along so you get this nice little blinking effect like this. Look, dunk, okay, dunk. Make sure that first end keyframe is set to 0 and the start keyframe is set to 0, and then 100, 100. And you get this nice little dashing line. F9 those to add a bit of easing. Click and drag the speed value graph, like so, and you get this little cool effect. Bonk. Lovely. Copy and paste onto the other layers. It's as simple as that. Paste there, paste there. Happy, happy, happy. We can get rid of these now because we don't need them. Actually, let's get rid of all of those keyframes and start that again because I think I accidentally duplicated some of those. There we go. Sorted, sorted, sorted. Now we probably want to shift these over a little bit like that so they don't all start at the same time. Donk, donk, donk. Huh, why hasn't that worked? I don't know. Okay, let's try deleting those. I think I did something wrong there. And duplicating the layers instead. Okay, so then we should get 2 lines following each other, but when we rotate them, we can put them in the position that we want. Like so. Let's rotate this one a little bit further and position them up there. And then tweak this middle one. There we go. Bonk, as it hits the sand. Cool. Let's give those a round end like we did before and see what we got. Cool, looks good to me. The last thing to do then is to animate in that sand. So we go to our sand, nice and easy trim path. Let's have this be the first thing that comes in. As that surfboard is growing there, let's have the sand grow down here. So 100% back down to 0%. Let's have it go all the way to 100 there. Maybe it only needs to be 15 keyframes. Easy ease. And drag that across like so. All right, brilliant. I think those circles come in a little bit late. So what we'll do is we'll collapse all these. Go to our circle top and our circle bottom. And we'll decrease the amount of time they take to work. So, like that. There you go, I'm happy with that. Cool, let's take a look. Yeah, looks good. Okay, let's pre-compose that entire thing. So select everything from the surfboard, hit pre-compose. Make sure you move all the attributes to the new composition and call it surfboard. Let's have a look at what we've done so far. Camera comes in, pretty cool. Photograph comes in, pretty cool. Boat comes in, pretty cool. Surfboard comes in, pretty cool. Happy with that. However, the others sort of shake in and rotate as we've done before, so we'll just need a null to do that. Control-Shift-Alt-Y or layer new null works just fine. Let's give it a rotation and scale keyframe. Move along 30 frames and do the same thing. And then back on the first keyframe, negative 45 degrees, 90% scale. F9 for easy ease. Edit that speed value graph like so. And go to where the animation is finished and apply the surfboard to the null. And then you get a nice little whip around as it comes and plonks itself into the sand. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and add my extra little bit of ease and whiz wiggle to it, but it's a totally optional step. And let's have a look. Okay. Camera comes in. We've got the photograph, we've got our boat, oops, and we've run out of round preview. Let's have a look, there we go, and we've got our surfboard. All right, I think it wiggles and then drops a bit quickly, in all honesty. So let's go to our board inner keyframes. There's all sorts of anchor point nonsense going on over there. Go to our board keyframes here and just move the drop. So just wiggles in and then let's have it hold for a moment before it drops. So let's grab this position keyframe here, copy it, shift these along, say 10 frames, move 10 frames and then paste that keyframe. What that means is it won't move for those 10 frames until it plonks into the sand. What that does mean is we of course have to shift our other 3 layers with the sand dash over 10 frames as well, but that's fine. We can just quickly do that. And I think that looks a little bit better. Holds a bit and then plonks into the sand. Yeah, Not too bad, actually. Happy with that. So that'll do for today then. Oh no, we've got this weird error now too. It's a caching error. Okay, if you get that error, here's a good tip. You might get it from caching. It says 7::40. It's easy enough to do. Save your project, go up to Edit, go up to Preferences General, and then clear your media cache. So you go to Media and Disk Cache. You can do Empty Disk Cache. Yes, you want to clear it. I'm not going to do it now because it's 23 gigabytes, but that will say solve all of your issues. That error will stop appearing. But we'll leave it there for now. Cool. Pretty nice. Let's go travel icons. Sort of shakes itself in. Looks really nice. Plonks into the sand. Looks good. All right, brilliant. That brings us to a close on the first 4 icons. We've done the camera, photograph, surfboard, and boat. Pretty cool. The next 4 episodes will be doing the suitcase, cocktail, plane, and sunglasses. Like I said, these should be dropping bi-weekly, so hopefully it's only going to take a month for these to come out. But that'll do for today. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I know the surfboard's a bit of a weird one. It's a bit of a weird one to animate because it's not like the others in that it can grow on in parts. There's only sort of one thing. So sorry if this one's a bit all over the place. That'll do, though. Have fun playing with it. Like I said, if you had trouble, go out and check the camera one first. And I'll see you all next time when we're going to be taking a look at the briefcase. Lots of fun, and I'll see you there.
Remember to subscribe for more tips, tricks, and tutorials. Thanks for watching.